Are you ready to unleash your full potential and become unstoppable in your success and leadership?
Welcome to the Unleashed and Unstoppable podcast, where we provide powerful insights and strategies for coaches, corporate leaders, and entrepreneurs. I'm Lianne Carter.
And I'm Carol Register, and we're certified master neurocoaches who are passionate about helping you overcome your limiting beliefs and optimize your performance.
Each week, we'll be sharing actionable tips and strategies using neuroscience, from interviews with industry experts to solo episodes to help you lead a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms.
Join our community of like-minded individuals. Hit subscribe now and let's be unleashed and unstoppable together. Hey, I am going to get straight to the point. Have you ever been in a shitty mood mindset and you want to shift into a positive one? Your circumstances are not going like you expected. Oh my goodness. This happened to me today, right? And so I was definitely feeling it and going, all right, this is not the reality I'm creating. What is going on here? Oh, baby, do we have some tools for you today, right? So if you've ever been in that situation where you are feeling like, man, I just feel like yuck, I feel like not the best and in a really low vibration, negative energy, anger, fear, doubt, frustration, these things that we talk about to you on a regular basis. Well, we're going to bring you some new tools today that are a part of this process and especially a part of the leadership. Right, Lianne?
Exactly. And I think it's really important that we want to start off by saying, like, it's completely normal. It was a good friend of ours, client, that reached out, and I asked this question to her. I was like, hey, do you have an episode on this? And I was like, we not yet, but we will. And it's funny because when you are in leadership space, right, people look up to you, like even with your children, people around you, right? And sometimes we feel this pressure that we need to make it look like everything is always perfect.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to get caught up in that belief around needing to, like show up in a certain way, which sure is great. And we're all human, right? We're all going to have those moments and it's okay. Part of it is really just what comes next. Like, I know as a parent, right? Like, it is modeling to our children and even a leader to our team that it's okay to have these moments. And this is how we get to shift. And I love how we're going to be giving you some tools to support you in these situations so that you can feel the feels, right?
Yeah.
And then be able to shift into that possibility because it's possible. And your brain, right? Your brain's job is always to keep you where you are, right? Your brain's job is always to keep you where you are. And sometimes that might look like having a really crappy or shitty day, right?
So true. It's so true. I mean, we all have those moments, especially when an obstacle or a barrier hits us out of the blue. It's unexpected, and we're just kind of left going, and I could so relate to what you're saying, Lianne. It's that, to me, it leans into that feeling that leadership is lonely or it has to be lonely, which we've talked about. And then we carry this pressure on ourselves. And you're reminding me, even this past week with some things that went on, I got to remind myself that it gets to be messy. That wasn't even one of our points today, but it's important, right? Because it relieves you of the perfectionism. And for me, I realized that I had set subconsciously some expectations that I wasn't even aware of. And so then when the obstacle occurred, that's when they came to mind. I was like, oh, I'm expecting things that are not really setting me up for success because they're unreasonable. I'm putting expectations on other people, the way they should act and perform and behave. And they were unrealistic. And so just kind of allowing yourself to be messy was something that really came to me, and you're just leaning into it. We get to be human, right?
Yeah.
it's not Shangri-La when you have the neuroscience. It's just that you have the tools and the process, the proven scientific process to be able to move forward and stay in the growth and the leadership that you really want to be in. So,
And we know, right? Like when you're out there making big things, whatever it is that you're doing, like the universe will test you,
yeah,
right? It's just part of the process. I mean, how many times, Carol, we've seen our clients, right? Starts off all fun and dandy, and all of a sudden, all these breakdowns everywhere happens.
yeah,
And when we recorded an episode recently about the commitment piece, right? You stay committed. Like things are going to come at you. Life
yeah,
happens, but it's staying committed to that vision, the goal, whatever the intention that you have set,
yeah.
and being able to just give yourself permission in the moment that it isn't all going to be, shiny stars. I don't even think this makes sense, right? But
Unicorns
oh,
and
all roses.
fairies.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Unicorns and fairies. Like as much as we want that, I mean, wouldn't it be lovely, right? If it always was. But we learn every time that there's a breakdown. We learn, we get stronger, we become more powerful as a leader. As I said before, right? Like as you're modeling, as you're an example for people around you, like we're all gonna face adversity at some time. Like things are just
yeah,
gonna happen. And it's really in the moment. Like the true piece of leadership is who you are in the moment to be able to work through that. Right. And so really acknowledging yourself, giving yourself permission to do it messy, right? Giving yourself permission
yeah.
to feel it. Give yourself permission. Allow it to process. Like how many times, right?
Mm.
We're
So
like
true.
you might have heard growing up, right? To like keep it in or like stop crying or da da da. It's like, no, allow yourself to process whatever emotion, whatever being, like give
Feel
yourself
the
permission.
feels,
Yeah,
validate the feeling. Yeah,
to do that and then acknowledge and yeah, and shift in the moment. And we were talking, Carol, just before we recorded, like just about some of the strategies. And what came to me was like, for example, in the moment, like you could be having a discussion with somebody and it gets to be a real heated discussion. And you're starting to notice, like, I don't like how I feel right now. I get to feel how I feel. But then you can, allow yourself to do that by removing yourself from the situation.
hmm,
And Carol, I believe you have some strategy that you teach your clients, like, because you want to set yourself up for success in this, right? Not just be like,
yeah,
okay, whatever, I'm walking away, right? Because that's not going to help the situation. You want to
yeah,
do it in a way that you're still being respectful and you're still showing up as a leader
yeah.
and giving yourself that time and space to be able to process whatever it is that you're going through. So, can you share some of those examples, Carol, of
I
how
would
you support your
love
clients?
to. Yeah, I would absolutely love to because I found myself in this situation and working with my clients and where, maybe somebody says something to me that usually I'm just willing to let it go and it's okay. But I had a family member do this a week ago. We were in the car together, and he was just being kind of harsh, in my opinion. That was the way that I was perceiving it and taking it in. Whether that was actually reality or not, is it was all based on my perception of it, right? So being able to calmly let it go and, to allow that person to be who they are and feel what they feel is something that my clients are working through in many of their situations right now. And what I teach that has been enormously helpful is to have a tool belt of
Mm,
pattern interrupt tools. So you've got a series of tools to interrupt the pattern that's happening that's causing you to get in your amygdala brain to get upset and to maybe want to snap back. Now, if you do snap back, you're human. It's okay. Acknowledge it, take a deep breath. But one of the key parts of the pattern interrupt that you mentioned earlier, Alex, and that I definitely teach is excuse yourself. Now, this is something where you can get up and you can walk outside, you can go to the bathroom, maybe go get yourself a cup of hot tea. But in this case, last week, the other day, I was in a car. So I didn't have access to be able to excuse myself from what I was hearing. And I was definitely feeling triggered. What do you do in that situation? This is where a tool belt comes in because I have more than one series of tools. So, one other thing you can do is do something very simple like in that case, I wouldn't sit and tap. Tapping is one, but you could do like an acupuncture point, something where you learn how to specifically put your thumb and your forefinger between your forefinger and thumb of the other hand. So there's a soft point up on top, and I know you can't see me right now. Kind of find the tender point there and just hold on to it. This is something you can do while you're in your seat, while you're not able to maybe remove yourself from the situation, but it can be a real pattern interrupter to just take a moment and feel something. It grounds you and you're literally distracted from what the other person did. And there's a lot of valid science behind acupressure as well, which is not in my lane, so I won't go deep here on that. But that's one thing you can do. You can also apply instantly, privately to yourself breathing, instant breathing technique. Start just quietly to yourself doing some box breathing where you take in for 3 to 4, hold for 3 to 4, breathe out for 3 to 4, take in for 3 to 4. And you can sit there and do that quietly to yourself. I did do that while I was in the car. And the person I was with wasn't aware of anything going on. Nothing was unusual. Although that would have been okay too, it might have caught their notice and distracted them from the path that they were on. That's where you get to apply your discernment and wisdom, depending on the person that you're in. But you're putting your oxygen mask on first. You're taking care of yourself. You can also breathe in quietly to yourself and just kind of blow it out without any sound. Now, I like to blow it out with sound, like you're blowing out a candle, right? When you're really resetting your nervous system. But in this case, it was just a pattern interrupt for my nervous system. And it's something that I teach to my clients so that you can reset and you can not be hijacked, not go into survive mode, and then you're reacting. You can actually be proactive, be putting your oxygen mask on, taking action. Yeah.
What's coming to mind too, it's funny, like we start this, I'm like, oh, I forget about this, is the five senses. Just
Yeah.
getting grounded, the five senses. What is it that you can hear right now? What is it that you can see right now? What is it you can smell right now? Like you can
That's a
taste right now.
great
What do
one.
you, what do you can, am I missing?
Yeah,
What can
feel
feel
right
right now, I
now.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, and even, you can kind of count five on your fingers and just getting that grounded, right? That steadiness, because it's very easy, right? The brain can hijack, the brain can totally take over, and you can just go into this. And then, of course, some of you might feel like in that reactive state, and you want to fight back. Some of you might shut down. It's just being able to maintain that and sort of the self regulation piece. So, so good, Carol. And as you're talking, I was like, oh, yeah, there's that one, there's that one. And
Yeah.
it's so good. I love how you give the example of in the car because I don't know how many times I find myself in the car and it's funny, right? Because it's just in the car in the conversation. And yeah, you might find those moments, right? And
Yeah.
then you might have moments where you are able to sort of remove yourself. And the invitation is to remove yourself. The
Yeah.
invitation is, sometimes reading some of these parenting articles and stuff like that talk about like it's not about giving your kids a timeout. It's like you as a parent, like taking a
Yeah.
timeout, right? Like just going to the bathroom or giving yourself that
So
time to just
good. Yeah.
self-regulate, right? And again, you're modeling to your kids. Something, we were talking earlier, Carol, about is having someone that you can talk to, right? Because again,
I
it's
love that.
allowing yourself to process. So if you were someone that really gets to get the energy out and process it, having someone that you could just say, hey, can you hold the bucket for me? Like that's a term we often use in
Yeah.
leadership. Like, can you hold the bucket? Can you just, give me 5 minutes of your time to get it out,
Yeah.
right? So that you have it out of your system and then get grounded in vision. This was something that I learned over the weekend. Actually, I was in a
Mhm.
relationship workshop and
Beautiful.
we're so used to sometimes going back to like, the past of the conversation,
Yeah.
step into vision. So where is it you want to go? If it is a heated discussion or when something is going to shits or stuff like that, go back to your vision, go back to your
I
intention
love that.
and pick up any conversation that's going to go in that direction
Yeah.
versus rediscussing or re-experiencing like the past. It's like just refocusing forward. And I think again, I guess I'm always thinking, right, for my little ones, like what am I modeling for them and for
Yeah.
those that I lead? Like just how do we get to model those examples of moving forward? So I think that is something that can be really supportive if
Yeah.
it's otherwise it's so easy to get stuck in your head, right? It's so easy. Like I don't know
It
about you, Carol,
is.
but I like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Replaying a scenario
You
over and
know,
over and over in
I
your
was
head.
literally just thinking that vision instantly takes you out of the spin.
Yeah.
It does. Because when we're in the spin, we're reliving the past, we're analyzing and processing and overthinking. And the minute you lean into vision, boom, you're not in that place anymore. You're thinking, okay, here's something that I can look forward to. And then the grounding brings you into the present moment. So you've got this beautiful piece that happens just very, very quickly. I love that.
So here's what's coming to me now, Carol, because I mean, when you're in this work, you and I know it becomes so much easier to, feel the feels and shift and get back into vision. But what about the listener who could be listening today and is thinking, but what if I feel like I'm in doomsday?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's really there. Cause we have those moments, right? There's times
yeah,
where you just, about like all the things to do, right? Like, okay, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But I honestly, like, I'm really having a hard time right now seeing through this.
yeah. I think in those places, like kind of doing a combination of all three. And when you're in the doomsday, you really do want to acknowledge that. You
Hmm.
do want to lean in. And with all of this, one of the things that begins to happen as you practice these and you do shift faster and faster is just to have a lot of grace and compassion with
Hmm.
yourself. I don't feel good and I almost don't want to shift right now. I just want to feel what I'm feeling, doggone it, right?
Yeah.
And, that's a human moment. So then when you have the tools where you can go, okay, what am I feeling? I
Mm,
feel angry. And do I want to stay angry?
mm,
When we get into the emotion of it, though, we may not ask ourselves the logical questions. So, being able to acknowledge your feelings is important, but when you're in the feelings, that's where, to me, having the person to process with and
yeah.
having the tools to interrupt what's going on helps us to shift faster and to be able to go, okay, I'm giving myself a moment, but I'm going to stop and put my oxygen mask on. And it may take time. I've had days where it took me a day of just practicing the tools and being slow and graceful with myself and knowing that it's temporary. That's
Yeah.
huge, right?
Yes. Well, and you said something there, like it might take some time. Like it's going like if you're a high achiever, right? It's like I want this done. And you can oftentimes actually create like, frustration. Like you can start to
Yeah.
create more
A
than if
perfectionism. Yeah.
then versus just acknowledging, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I'm at right now. And it is temporary.
Yeah.
There is a way out. And right now I just get to be here, right? Like we know our brains are wired to keep us in the same familiar. We know that our brains are going to create situations where things happen and it is okay to feel it. And I
Yeah.
think we really just want to lean into inviting you to give yourself that permission. I'm really guilty. I've learned this about myself in the last couple of weeks. I mean, I kind of knew it, but then I've just been in these situations where it's come up quite a few times
Yeah.
where I realize I like to be the savior. And so if
Mhm.
someone's like, hey,
Yeah.
do you have a couple minutes and they tell me what's going on, I notice that my automatic is I want to give them the answer.
Mm.
And what I've learned, and I think this is important for the person who's feeling and for
Yeah.
also the person who's standing there, is one, sometimes someone just wants to be heard. They
Yeah.
just want to be able to voice, this is what I'm going through. And they're not looking for a
Yeah.
solution, right?
Exactly.
And the person who's sharing
Yeah.
that, I think it's really important to let them know and have a way to communicate, whether it's like, can you hold a bucket for me, or
Yeah.
I'm going through something right now. Can you lend a listening ear? Whatever that is, right? So that there's an establishment. Because especially, right, if you're a coach or if you're someone that tends to give a lot of advice or solutions or mentorship, right? Your automatic is to go into that mode and to
Yeah.
understand that not everybody is in that mode all the time. And so that communication is super powerful, can really impact even your how you're able to process it,
I
and
love
also you
that.
get to like getting through. And so I know myself, I've really gotten several opportunities over the last little while to even ask the question of like, you know, like, what do you need from me right now?
Mm,
Right? Do you
that's a
need me to
great
just
question.
listen, or, and I've even done it with Abigail, when something happens with her, it's like, what do you need? And sometimes she might say, I want a hug. Sometimes she might say, I want nothing. Sometimes she says, whatever. But it's
Yeah.
really interesting to just ask that question of what do you need right now? And for the other person on the other side, let people know what you need, communicate what you
Yeah.
need, right? And that I really think will support whatever you're experiencing so
I
much better,
have
and
a
you'll get that support.
I love this advice. I have a buddy, and we're that way. Sometimes we'll just say to each other, "Hey, I just need to process this. I don't need any help or anything. I just want to run it." And that's that communication. It really is
Mm.
effective. And then other times you can say, "All right, I need your advice," you know?
Support me here, like help me shift out of this moment, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, what, Carol, I know we talked a little bit about like our action step that we want to show the audience, but you just said something there that I think is really powerful. Is you just said that I have a buddy, right? And we kind of said a little bit earlier, right? Like have somebody,
Yeah.
like
Have a person.
really
Yeah.
have that person, have that buddy, have somebody that one, that they know that they're that person. Cause I think that can support, like if they know that, they'll be able to show up more like that.
Yeah.
And have like just know who's got you, who's in your corner, who there's to support you, that when you are having that moment,
Yeah.
you have someone that you know that you can turn to and that's got your back to support you through whatever that you're experiencing. And maybe if it's you're in the car and you're maybe just text messaging them right as well.
That's right. That's right. That's a good advice. It does seem like we're often in a car, which is a confined space, but I think, the points here that we've really leaned into and talked about when you're feeling shitty and you're wanting to shift into a positive mood, or when circumstances aren't going according to what you had envisioned or expected, to just acknowledge,
Mhm.
have that awareness, and feel what you're feeling, right? Because if we're just stuffing it down, what happens then? It's getting wired in, and we're living with that, and it's affecting our entire, not only nervous system, but body, right? Because the brain's a part of the nervous system, and our subconscious is in our body. We're these beautiful integrated beings. So acknowledging, feeling what you feel, then, making sure that you do have a person, that you are able to reach out to somebody and just say, hey, even if it's a hotline, hey, I just need to talk. I just need to express this, get it off my chest so I'll feel better. And, some of us are actually verbal processors. That's a
Mhm.
really important
Like
piece
me.
to acknowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it literally does help us to clear the air, and we're empowered in that way because we have the information inside of us. And when you're verbally processing things, then what often you find is that you've really got the answers as you've released that energy. And then we talked about, having a pattern of tools where you can interrupt what's going on and help that shift to happen, recognizing that it's temporary, that you can reset your nervous system with breathing. You can do it with eye movements, tapping, acupressure, and, just grounding, even like nose, smile, toes, right? Simple little things that can help you to be where you need to be and to interrupt that hijacking that's going on, that's rising up in you, and to be proactive with it. So what's our call to action this week, Alex Lianne?
Well, I think we've gone through some of the things that would like you to take away. And what lands me is the decide in advance that we've heard us say multiple times, right? So
Yeah,
really just get clear on who your person is, who your buddy is, the person you're gonna
yeah,
call. Decide in advance if you're in a car, how
yeah,
what is the pattern interrupt that you choose to do to support you? And three would be also decide in advance, like how you would excuse yourself from a situation
give
when you
yourself
notice that it's
5
getting
minutes too.
heated. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Like, because sometimes even with the 5 minute piece, right? Like it's really easy to also keep going. And so just to support you, like that will help. Like set a timer for 5 minutes, allow yourself to feel those the feelings for the 5 minutes and then
yeah,
shift yourself, right? So stay focused on that vision as well. I think that's a really
yes,
important thing. Like when you're
yeah,
in that heated discussion with somebody to
yeah,
stay focused on the vision of what you want to do. But yeah, just really setting yourself up. I think setting yourself up for success so that, yeah, the next time that something does go wrong, that you
yeah,
just have those grounding pieces to help you get reset. Cause that's what it is. We feel out of whack with our nervous system and it's
yeah.
just getting back grounded, regulated, right?
Mm.
And being able to then reset, refocus, re head forward, right?
Refresh.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right. Rehead forward. I love that. I love that because we really are shifting in the
Yeah.
moment. And we're so powerful. You're so powerful. You have what you need within you. When you have these tools that you can take with you and utilize, it just really helps you to remember that it's temporary and that you really do have the power over the situation. So,
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I love that reminder that's temporary because that to me, I think that's gonna be my my design in advance to remind myself it's temporary. And it's temporary.
yeah.
That's temporary. Like that really supports the shift.
I love that. Okay, we're so excited to bring this to you this week and to provide you these amazing tools so that you really can be in your unleashed and unstoppable power, which is a beautiful thing. And if you're an NLP person, just hone in on the fact that you get to be unleashed and unstoppable. And so I just want to say we're super happy to bring this to you, right, Alex Lianne? We're so happy to be doing this, and we can't wait to see you next week. So ciao
And
for now. Oh, go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, like, today's episode was based on a request that somebody reached out,
Yes.
like a
Mhm.
client friend of ours that said, hey, so if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I would love to live more on this topic, connect with us on Instagram. Let us know what's coming up for you, what a topic
Yes.
you'd love for us to dive into. Like we love doing this and we are here to support you. So whatever it is that you're experiencing right now, whatever you're up against, where you're like, man, I really wish I was unleashed and unstoppable over here, let
Yeah,
us know. Let us know your question. Let us know what we could speak into. We are here for you and we want to hear from you.
that's right. So we'll see you next week. Ciao for now.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Cal Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.